Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. And we're live. Guten Chodesh, everybody. Guten Chodesh. Well, now it's Bezier, so Yoim Beletis to the Rebbe Marash. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a new thing that we're going to do once in a while. It's not going to be every time, but it's once in a while. We're going to have a special segment where we talk to interesting people in Lubavitch about their shluchus and what they're passionate about. And I can't think of a better time to start this other than Rosh Chodesh Iyar. And we call this segment Soldiers on a Mission.
To bring Mashiach Tzidkenu. Tomorrow will be gone no more, for we'll win this war.
So our first guest, before we start, how it's going to work is that I would like to see guys' comments and questions, and we'll Mirz Hashem have a Q&A on and a lot of different comments, and I'll also give a shout out to whoever comments at the end. And it'll be my first time that I'll have a Q&A with a partner, which we'll have on the show right now. So he is a shliach of the Rebbe in a Chabad house in New Jersey, and he's a teacher, and you could say an unofficial mashpia to many Bachrim in Morristown, New Jersey. And on top of all of that, he is also a chaplain in Aleph. I would like to welcome live Rabbi Yitzchok Lerman. How are you, Rabbi Yitzchok Lerman? How are you?
Baruch Hashem, Uziel. Baruch Hashem. Great to see you. Glad to be here.
Great to see you. Oh, yes. This was a long time coming.
Yep.
So for those that don't know, Rabbi Yitzchok Lerman was my teacher when I was in Morristown. And we could get to that later very much. But I do want to start this with a Bissel L'chaim because it is Rosh Chodesh Iyar and Bezier, ending off Rosh Chodesh and going to Bezier. So I brought myself a little L'chaim for myself. So let's start with wine, obviously. L'chaim, L'chaim.
L'chaim Avracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Melech Bar Gafen. All right, so as an introduction. Oh, by the way, when the Rebbe says 4 cups, does that refer to wine or to regular mashke? Like, do you say the same thing in wine, just only 4?
That's a good question. It's a mashpia question.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not a public question. This is.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, fine, perfect. So let's start off with introducing yourself.
All right, so. You already introduced me. So my family and I, we moved to Rutherford, New Jersey. We were shulchan about 11 years ago, and so first we came as the Rabbi Rebbitzin to a shul called Temple Bethel, which is a shul that was founded in 1919 here in the Meadowlands, and it was the Nusach Ashkenaz shul, and we were hired as the Rabbi Rebbitzin, and we told the community that we want to open Chabad as well. And with their permission, we opened up Chabad of the Meadowlands, and Baruch Hashem, we've been able to do many programs in the community. We started a Hebrew school in the community for children. We have mitzvah tank now, and we have at every game at MetLife Stadium, New York Giants, New York Jets, whenever they have events there, we have a mitzvah tank there. We have Mivtzayim. We have events for Yom Tif. We have Minyanim. Baruch Hashem, we have Shiurim. It's a full functioning Chabad house. And in addition to that, as you mentioned, so a year before we moved down on Shluchas, I started teaching. I taught in Mesivta for 6 years, and now I've been teaching in Morristown and in Zal.
Which Mesivta?
I taught in Queens Mesivta in Forest Hills. I taught there for 5 years, I believe. And then I taught in Muncie for 1 year by Rabbi Chami's Yeshiva, Lev Mimim.
Oh.
And then, so I was little by little making my way back to New Jersey. When I was teaching in Queens, it took me around an hour to get there and about an hour and a half to get back. and
Wow.
it cost me, I think, $22 a day in tolls every single day. And now with the congestion pricing, you can imagine it would be a lot more. And
Yeah,
but it was
exactly.
a lot, great yeshivas. I was very happy teaching at all the yeshivas, but it was time for me to come back to New Jersey, and that's how we ended up in Morristown, Baruch Hashem. So yes, I had experience teaching Masifta, teaching in Zal, and while I was teaching in Queens Masifta as well, I also worked as the curriculum director and curriculum developer. That's what I did in Muncie as well, which, as we'll speak about later, Baruch Hashem set me up for my career later on in the military, where I write curriculum for them as well. So everything's hashgacha pratis. First, the Eibishter wanted me in chinuch. Once I was in chinuch, he says, "Okay, now we'll give you a shluchus," and that's when we moved to Rutherford. And Baruch Hashem, I'm blessed. I'm benched to be able to do both, and that's a gift that the Eibishter has given us.
One thing that I found fascinating, which is I love to get into a little bit also, is the fact that you have all these different types of shluchas, and it's like, and a family on top of that, and it's like I only know a little bit of like how your day's going because I only saw you in yeshiva, and that's the only really front that I saw. But like, I guess in short, or if you really want to expand on it, like, what would you say to people that want to take as much task as much task as they can, just like you have?
So that's a great question, and I actually get that question a lot. How do I manage time to be able to do all that? Because I learn a lot on my own. You remember for when you were our share, we had siyumim. At one point, we had to see him every single week. Different bachim in the class, and myself, I like to learn and make siyumim. And so Baruch Hashem, this is something that I learned, and I try to help other people with this. How to manage time. So Hatzlacha B'Zman is something that the Rebbe speaks about, and the Frierdiker Rebbe speaks about, and the key is to be in the moment. Like you mentioned, that you only see when you see me in Morristown, you see me in Morristown, and that's a good thing. That's the way it should be. That when I'm in Morristown, when I'm in yeshiva, I should be focusing on the bachrim, focusing on the learning, focusing on the shirim. So my date starts early. I get up in the morning. Baruch Hashem, we have our children. We get ready for school, and then I prepare for Morristown for a shir every single morning, at least an hour and a half. And I also use that time to prepare for with the community, sending out emails, answering texts to people, setting up shiurim, managing our website, and a lot of scheduling with meeting people. I do either in the evenings, shiurim. At one point, I had 4 shiurim almost every night, 4 shiurim a week here at our shul, and it was Lebdik, Baruch Hashem. And Fridays, I don't teach in Morristown on Friday, so that's when I try to meet with people, get a lot done. But one of the things I do is I try to get things done right away. So I don't like having piles on my desk of this bill. Okay, I'll take care of it later. Oh, this I need to take care of. Take care of it later. I try to get things done as soon as I can, in their time. Right when I'm in yeshiva, I'm in yeshiva. But during my lunch breaks, I'm taking my list of things I gotta get done, and I just go through them. So I work through lunch, and I try to knock out as much as I can. And Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter has benched us with Hatzlacha. So to summarize, everything has to have a time. Right? Everything you have to be present in the moment, but at the same time, don't let things wait. Don't let things pile up. Whatever you can, get rid of it. But it seems like you have a Hatzlacha B'Zman as well, because I know for this interview, you must have had it on a schedule. Okay, I'm going to remind Rabbi Lerman. We're going to follow up. And you got it done.
Yeah, but that's what you know. You know what I mean? Like for all you know, that's the show I put on.
You do a good job at
it. Baruch Hashem. Would you consider yourself like your personality? Do you think it's like almost like, lack of a better word, like a pet peeve of yours if you do have things that start piling up for you?
Yes, I get things done right away. I try to get them off my plate. Otherwise, it literally, when something comes in, it sits on my head, and I want to get it off as soon as I can, if possible. So, but
Right.
one of the things, like when I daven, I try to make sure, like, okay, I'm focused. I want to focus on davening now. Yes, there may be things, but now is not the time. One thing I want to share with your audience is that when I come home, I've shared this with many people, and they've thanked me, and they've told me that it works now for them as well. I'm very happy. When I come home, my cell phone goes off into a different room on silence. That way, I'm present. I'm with my family. We have supper. I can spend time with my children, and my children know Tati's cell phone is in a different room. Because
Yes,
otherwise it's very distracting. There's a million things going on. We all have things
Yeah.
going on, and but that's something that I'm very strict about. And once I had scheduled a phone meeting, and I came home an hour early. So my phone meeting was supposed to be before I got home, but it was when I came home with my kids, and they saw me holding my phone. They're like, "Tati never has his phone now." And I said, "I apologize. There was a miscalculation in the timing." And that was it.
Wow.
My children know when Tati's home, he's present. After they go to sleep, okay, I'll take my phone out again. But you have to be focused on in the moments. And I've shared this with other people, other parents, and Baruch Hashem, they've told me that they started doing that as well. Just separating ourselves from the phone for an hour, half hour.
Oh, and you're saying that's just family time, or do you do that for other times as well?
I try to do it during davening as well. In fact,
Yes.
when I daven, I take off my phone, and I don't even like having it face up, because just having it face up distracts me. I don't know why. So I always turn my phone the other side when I daven, so I could focus.
One of the things that I really find interesting that's discussed in many Farbrengens is like when Mashpiyim would always say like you don't think that we had distractions in our days too? Like, I wouldn't say it's the same exact thing as the phone, but there was definitely things. So what would you say about that as comparison to like, were they because I don't know, because when I was a kid, that's when the phone started. So I'm literally the cell phone era. So
Right.
would you say that there was, not necessarily comparing Chas v'Shalom to people's struggles, but would you say that there's kind of a interesting, would you say that also in the olden days there are distractions and that it was very distracting to what we have? Or would you say that nowadays is more than was less? What would you say in comparison?
So that's a very good question. I would say there's nothing like the phone. There's nothing as distracting as the phone. That has never existed before. Where that someone can message you, where you're expecting a message, someone has updated their status. I mean, there's nothing as distracting as the phone. That's number one. However, the Yetzer Hara existed then as well. And the Yetzer Hara figured out ways, without a phone, how somehow taivas are delivered to your door. How machshavas zaros could just come in. The Yetzer Hara is very creative. He didn't have a phone, so he had to work a little harder. He found other things that suddenly showed up at your door or outside your window or while you're trying to daven. Something always happened. Now the Yetzer Hara has it easy. The Yetzer Hara is probably just sitting back and says, "I'll let the phone do the work." Nowadays, he has the perfect vehicle for it. And there's, when it comes to the phone, I think a study was like the average person sees about 50,000 ads a day. I'm not sure if I'm off with the numbers, but it's like a tremendous amount of ads. Like, we don't even realize when we scroll or when we there are ads all over. And
we can always check right now if you want. Let me see if I can do something here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? It's very interesting. I am actually very curious also.
Sure.
Let's see. I'm just trying to see. Okay,
How many ads is a person exposed to each day?
Yeah. How many ads is a average?
There you go. It's there. It was
person
there you go.
Exposed to daily.
And
according to AI Google, between 4,000 and 800 advertisements daily. That is insane.
4,000 to 10,000. Yes. Okay. So I was way off. Thank you for fact checking that.
Yeah.
I said
No,
50, but 40 to 10,000 is nothing to is nothing to be excited about. That's a
yeah,
lot of ads.
that is
So
crazy.
there are billions of dollars pumped into trying to get our eyeballs. And
Yeah.
so were things different then? There was a lot of distractions and taivas then as well. No question. Very different from the phone, but equally as distracting and as detrimental to Avodas Hashem and everything else. The phones, though, make it a lot easier for the Yetzer Hara. It's a lot easier to be distracted.
Yeah.
Like I love Shabbos. Yom Tov, 3 days without my phone. Oh, it's great. It's
I had a crazy experience with that. You probably also, many shluchim have that. Like a lot of shluchim live in these neighborhoods with average goyim, and these are not like the like old day Americans, because they're not like in Crown Heights with like New Yorkers or like in Chicago or in LA, like these things. A lot of shluchim are in the small towns like you and me. And literally during COVID, we had our neighbors push it like they had nothing. They like, and it kind of showed the power of Shabbos, because it's like, what if there was Shabbos for extended amount of, not just one day, it was like 24/7.
That we just had a 3-day Yom Tov. I love a 3-day Yom Tov.
Oh yes,
I love it.
yeah.
You know, it's I mean, here we had Erev Shabbos, Erev Pesach, and then 2 days. But even when it's the other way around, 3 days of Shabbos, it's great. It's great.
Would you say that a lot of your scheduling was in, like, ever since you went into the Army as a chaplain, would you say your Army training that includes a lot of scheduling? That's like one of the main things of the Army is schedule on time and you're in pursuit. Would you say that added a lot to how you did your scheduling in day-to-day life?
No. I did gain a lot of skills from the military that I do incorporate in my life, but that's not one of them. That the challenge when I was in the military, when everything was changing, when I was going through basic training, was that every single day was different. You couldn't schedule. It's like, just because today we got up at 4:30, could be tomorrow we're getting up at 4. Or tomorrow we're getting up at 5. We always got at 4:30, but it was like, but we're going to exercise, or we're doing a different thing. You couldn't plan it. You couldn't schedule anything because it was just changing every day. It's whatever the commander decided. So it did not help for me, that was not helpful. But Baruch Hashem, it's Baruch Hashem, that's something I was able to figure out.
Here's an interesting question that I just thought of. What would you say is the common denominator, besides for the obvious that every yid's a yid, but what would you say, what is the common denominator between a teenager, which you deal with in yeshiva, a regular day-to-day guy, which you deal in your Chabad house, and a soldier, which you deal in Aleph? What would you say is the common thing that you see with those three types of people?
You're dealing with people. And what I mean by that is
deep.
Behind let's say any soldier, airman, sailor, or guardian, whichever branch we're dealing with, Marine, there's a person behind there. Whatever exterior, whatever facade they try to put on, you're dealing with a person who has fears, who has goals, who wants to be heard, who wants to be acknowledged, who wants to succeed in life. So number one, it's the person. The packaging may be different. Right? When I'm in the military, I'm dealing with a lot of people who are not Jewish. And the packaging may be different, but it's all similar. A Baruch Yeshiva, everyone wants to be successful. No one just wants to sit there and be bored. Everyone wants to thrive. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants to have meaning in their life. The packaging is a little different, whether it's a Baruch Yeshiva, someone at the Chabad house, or someone in the military. But number one is people. I think it's very important. Even at Bachram, we're not all, just because we're all wearing black and white doesn't mean we're all the same, right? We're not all penguins. Everyone has a different background, different chushim. different family background that affects who they are, what they're going through in life, and trying to be sensitive to that. I think that's a key similarity that I find amongst everybody. Don't stereotype someone. He's a bacher. He's probably all right. He went to this yeshiva. He knows it. He knows everything. Or someone in the military. Oh, he's tough because he went through training. It's like, no, everyone wants to be loved, heard, acknowledged, appreciated, and community as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but people are starting to notice that a lot with people nowadays, that there's more to people than just categories of people. Like every individual has something behind them. And I think it's kind of coming to the light now more than ever. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
I think times have changed. People used to, people used to want to put on a show. If they're wealthy, they wanted to look tough or act tough or be tough.
You think it was like denial?
A lot of
self-denial?
What was it? Denial? Or in a way, denial, in a way, a lack of self-awareness. Like when I look at someone, they can be very wealthy, they can be very tough and strong. I look at also, it comes with maturity as well. Like when I look at someone, I'm like, I have a wife and kids, kind of her. If he has as well, then we're going through similar issues. Right? Every family is different, but you have a child. Right. Children, children have their struggles. You're trying to teach them a skill. Do they listen? Do they not listen? How are they healthy? Are they doing well in school? Are they struggling with children? He could be a multi-billionaire. He still has to deal with the same issues with his children that I need to. Hopefully, I don't have to deal with issues that he has. But as he's a human being, and human beings, we all have similar issues. So in the military, if we're deployed somewhere and he has family at home, he misses them. And therefore, we have something to share. We have something to speak about. We're not so far, removed from each other. We do have something in common. And
right.
And I think that's the key. Also, one of the keys to shluchus. I'm going to say something that's cliche, but it's true. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You may be a very wise person, but if you don't care about everybody, then they know it. But you can be an incredible shliach as long as you care about other people. You're going to have to be the biggest goyin, the biggest Talmud Chacham, but you have to care about people. If you care about people, you'll be successful in shluchus.
It's authenticity.
Authenticity, exactly.
Yeah. I see that all the time. Like, it's like, there's also like this idea that like why are so many people, I was listening to a conversation, like, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. It was a conversation of like when people talk online and they say, I'm not an expert, but this is what I think about it. And people actually take that to heart. So it was like a conversation, like what's the line between an expert and like a person that's giving his opinion? And I think why people pivoted so much to people that just want to say with their opinions versus people that are experts is because of authenticity. It's because of people that see that oh, this is a guy that's passionate versus a guy that does it as a profession. Which there's more conversation to say about that, but to the point that you were saying, that as long as you show that you are there with that person, no matter who you are and your background is, the person will be with you on that journey.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, very interesting point. So I think people, as you mature, you recognize this more. But also, I think, as you mentioned, I think society society is telling people it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show that you have problems like everybody else has. You're not immune to suffering and challenges. Right? COVID affected everybody. Didn't discriminate. The fires in California, it affected everybody, whether they're wealthy or poor. You could have been a multi-billionaire. Your house is still gone. So
that's true.
Also, humbling experiences.
Would you say that So how would you incorporate that with like people in the military? Because it's very different versus like when you're a shliach and the person is coming to the Chabadas because they want to. There's more to it to that, but they're coming for more a spiritual journey, an emotional journey from within themselves, whether they realize it or not, whether they going to the full extent of it or not. But then the army is very different than when people are going to the army here and there's a commander, there's not a sympathizer necessarily,
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
So that is my job. It's my job. I have two jobs in the military. My first job, my base job, is that I'm a chaplain. My second job is which I'm currently, that's what I work, is that I design curriculum and I teach for the military, which is, if we have time later, we can speak about that. So the job of a chaplain is that the military recognizes exactly what you just said. Military recognizes that humans are not machines. You can't just train them how to fight, send them to war, and they'll just keep following orders. I mean, they may keep following orders, but at one point, they may just break down because there's a soul in there as well. There's a soul, and it's what life happens. Life challenges the soul, and military battles challenge the soul. People have moral injuries where they're PTSD, right? They have their moral injury. They've done something that they can't live with. And the military has realized that I can have the best training. I can have the strongest soldiers. But if their being, their neshama, their soul, however you want to call it, their spirituality is not solid, you're not going to have a good soldier. I mean, Alter Rebbe writes this in Tanya. You could have two people wrestling. One could be stronger. But if he's depressed, the weaker one can win and often will win. And the military has, through all their studies and research, has realized that this is a huge issue. Besides for the suicide rates that we have in America and in the military. So the military invests very heavily into chaplains. And what we do is, we do many things. One of the core things we do is we do a lot of counseling. We're the mashpiyim. We are the soul caretakers of the military. My job is to go into an office, see a whole bunch of soldiers who are, could be very fit. They're excellent at their job. They're good at killing people. And my job is to pull it all aside and say, hey, how's your kid doing at home? I'm sure you missed that child. Or, hey, how's your marriage? Or how's your car doing? We all have problems with our cars. We know cars are cars, right?
Yep.
And if a flat tire frustrates me and messes my day, it messes his day as well. Look at the person as a human. Because not necessarily everyone else does. The commander may say, this guy's a machine. I need him to fly an airplane. Don't tell me he's not in the mood. He's feeling depressed. I need this mission done. Or if you're on you can imagine you're on a submarine, right? You're there for 6 months.
Yep.
You can't say, hey, I'm really not in the mood today. But why is he not in the mood? What's bothering? What's the key? And how can we fix it? That's my job. So the commanders know that. They know that the chaplain is their guy to make sure that their soldiers are okay over here and over here. And if someone's not okay, the commander may say, hey, why don't you go speak to the chaplain? They don't have to be Jewish because it's a person. It's a human being. Now, when I'm speaking with people, often I'll ask them, are you religious? If they say yes, I'll use religious terminology. Hashgacha pratzis, for example, works for Yidden and Goyim. But if they're not religious, okay, we can speak from a human perspective. And the military has realized that whenever they have a chaplain, whenever they have someone take care of the human part of the soul part of their soldiers, everyone does better. The productivity goes up, goes higher. Suicide rate goes down. You have a healthier force.
I'm going to close my camera, but I'm still on. Just continue. I'm still listening.
All right. So we have a healthier force and a healthier military. So that's one of the things that I do. The other thing is that I advise commanders. For example, I may say, hey, Commander, I think everyone's exhausted. They need a day off because I know the people.
Has that happened?
Not with me, but it depends on the situation. Yes. Or, hey, we had something crazy going on last night. Maybe we should start an hour later or end an hour earlier. Right? The commander will say, hey, thank you for bringing it to my attention. Let me see if the schedule allows it. Having someone in touch with the human side makes a more productive force. So we do a lot of counseling. We provide people for their spiritual needs. And we also advise commanders. Yeah.
So, right. So what would you say then is the opposite effect, like having a commander? What would you say that what they can do for a human being that a chaplain or a therapist or a mashpia can't really tackle on?
Well, ultimately, the commander has the power. So I can't tell someone that he could take a day off. The commander is the only one who could do that. Ultimately, the commander is the one who can. I can advise the commander, but the commander is the one who actually has the power. But there's something interesting is that in the United States, most people are mandatory reporters, which means if someone says that they're going to harm others, or they have harmed others, most people are mandatory reporters, which means they legally have to tell the police. The military designed their system that chaplains, I think we're the only ones in the United States, that we have 100% confidentiality, which means if someone tells something to a chaplain, it's illegal for the chaplain to report it. In fact, it's inadmissible in court, and I could lose my job if I break that confidentiality. So it gives soldiers, service members, more security. They know they could tell me anything because I won't tell anybody. And it encourages them to come to us. The commander doesn't have that. So I may tell the commander, hey, I don't think that you should probably cancel this exercise. I strongly encourage you cancel this exercise tomorrow. And he will understand. He's like, you're strongly encouraging me. You probably know something I don't know. And he'll take that into consideration. You're on mute still. Or not still.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I was just moving stuff around. But I was about to say, you could have the opposite effect.
What do you mean?
Meaning the commander will probably have, I'm saying, is there a lot of situations where the commanders will say like, oh, you're too soft on the guy? And then, so when you suggest something, go like, no, there's more to it than that. And they're not really bringing
They could say that.
the pieces together.
They could say that, but a smart commander usually listens to his chaplain. Because you're on shulchus, right?
Yeah.
You're with the kids. They talk to you. They tell you things that they don't tell the principal or the director. Right?
Yeah.
So if you tell the director, you're like, you know what I've been hearing? He may say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But if he's smart, he'll listen to you because your ear is closer to the ground.
Right.
So these commanders are very smart people. They reach the command level because they're good at what they do. They're good at what they do, and they're intelligent people. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right. So I guess let's go to another question I have actually. What would you say? What is like a story that, because we're all, because I wanted to say that we're going into Bezier, which is the birthday of their Marash. And we all know that Ramash's famous quote was "Achia Reaper," going over the obstacle, not under. And if we can go under or through, then we go over. What would you say is a good story that could be from your military experience, or as a mashpia in yeshiva, or as a shliach, where you definitely incorporated that message?
Oh, so many stories. So many stories.
I bet.
We could be here all night.
Yeah.
So I'll start with. I mean, you're on shlichus. Your family's on shlichus. You know what it's like. Many times when we do an event, we have no idea how we're going to cover it, if we'll be successful, and we're just going to do it. And we're the Rebbe Shluchim, and it's going to work out. And we've seen that in our shlichus here in Rutherford many times, Baruch Hashem. The first time we came here, within 2 months we came here, we decided we're making a whole Friday night event, and we were buying sternos. We were buying a whole bunch of equipment that we didn't have the money for because we just moved out. And we said, we're doing it. The Rebbe is going to take care of it. And our event was, Baruch Hashem, very successful. And after the event, someone said, how much did it cost you? I don't want you to be in debt. And he covered the entire thing. Another time, Purim, we decided I want to get entertainers. I want to get children to be free. I wanted to attract a large crowd. And Baruch Hashem, another person came afterwards and said, I love what you did. I'll cover it from here on. Every year, tell me how much you need for Purim. I'll take care of Purim. I mean, this happens a lot. 1 year, Hanukkah, we decided we're expanding. We're making an extra minute at the American Dream Mall. We're going to make the sponsor the Hanukkah party and MetLife Stadium. We're going to have a minute, and we were literally thousands of dollars in. And we're going to get the money. We're like, we'll figure it out. And Baruch Hashem, also I got randomly in the mail from a random person I never met. He's like, oh, a month or two ago, you buried someone who I knew was a friend of mine. Here's a massive donation that covered everything. Like, nothing like that happened. And I'm sure your family has stories like that as well. I mean, Baruch Hashem.
Oh, yeah.
We've had many, many stories.
And what's funny is that, like, what's funny. Yeah, before you get to that, but I just want to bring one point is that what's funny is that when you're on shluchis, you experience a whole different case of Chatchila River, you know? Like the Chatchila River is like the idea of in life where you could jump over, but literally us shluchim, we experience that the Chatchila River means that the Rebbe is with you when you take on that step and going past the obstacle. And you can't experience that any other way except for shluchis. And it's such a beautiful concept that I wish every chassid experiences that in some way.
But you just have to believe that it's going to happen. That's it. You have to believe it. You have to have the bitachon. It's going to happen. It's going to work out. So a year ago, about Hanukkah time, or a year ago, I had a newborn baby, Baruch Hashem, and it was right after October 7th, and I was getting calls from the military. Maybe they were going to send me to Eretz Yisrael for a few months. I mean, there was a lot going on. And then it was Hanukkah time.
They did send people to Eretz Yisrael, right? That was the idea?
So October 7th happened right after Simchas Torah. All American Jewish chaplains, we were told, you're on standby. Israel may need your help. You may be going to Israel.
Whoa. So, B'tzad what? Like helping the IDF with their people, or like B'tzad what?
Well, first of all, October 7th, they need help with Chaver Kadisha. They needed soldiers, people who are trained in the military, who are Jewish, who are frum, who speak Hebrew. They may need help. And we also no one knew what Israel's response was going to be, what the response of the rest of the region was going to be. And I got a call that said, you may have to go. And I said, okay, my wife's expecting, could we wait till afterwards? They said, okay, but you're on standby. I got a call at the bris, my son's bris. I got a call, hey, you may be going for 6 months. So I mean, this is what was going on then. Baruch Hashem, we didn't, but I got a call Hanukkah time, and from the Air Force, and one of the things were, hey, could you go to Japan for a few months? There's a small island called Okinawa, which is closer to China than it is to Tokyo, and the Jewish chaplain's not there anymore, and we need someone there for Pesach, so could you go for a few months? And I said, let me call my wife. I said, let me get back to you. They said, okay. I called my wife, and she said, yeah, let's do it. And we had no idea, because you can't bring meat or chicken to Japan, or fruits or vegetables. The custom doesn't allow it. So we decided we're going to Japan, and we had no idea what we were going to eat. Because I even spoke to the shliach, Rabbi Sudakevich in Tokyo. He says, I have some chicken by me, but where I was going was a 2.5-hour flight from him. And he didn't know if he could send over things to me.
Right.
So we said we're going to the Chatchil River.
Besides the fact that on Pesach we don't eat anything except for our kitchen.
Exactly. So, on one hand, actually, I was speaking to my mother about that. She was like, "Oh, it's the best time to go. You're cooking Pesach makes everything from scratch either ways. What's the difference if you're here in Japan?" Okay, yeah, but there's a difference. But we said Chatchil River. We'll eat whatever fruits and vegetables are there, and I'm sure they sell fish in Japan. So we'll figure it out. And we did. We went to Japan, and we had an incredible nissim, incredible opportunities. We had 53 people at our first Seder. We had like another 30 the next night, the next Seder. We had a group of Marines that we pushed it for brain with for 48 hours. They said, we just want Torah. We want Torah. So we pushed it, sing songs, Nigun, and we davened. We for brain, we learned, and then we had the next Seder. Then we woke up, we did the next morning, the next day. I mean, it was just really, really amazing. Wow. And it worked out. So that was Chatchil River. Going to Japan was the Chatchil River, and the Eibishter helped. Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter helped tremendously.
Wow.
We could go on and on with the stories, but the Iker is we do our part, and the Eibishter, we just need a jump. The Eibishter will take care of the rest. We have to have the betachin. We actually need to take the jump, take the leap.
L'chaim, that everyone should have the ease, but more importantly, the courage and the motive to take that extra step of a Chatchil River.
Amen. L'chaim.
Do we have enough time for another question, or should we go to Q&As?
We could do another question. Yeah, we could do another.
All right. So let's do the curriculum, because as we've discussed, that you're also very good when it comes to teaching at Mashpia, but also a lot of people don't know that you're very into presentation. And as I could attest, as being your student, you're very much into presentation and visual. So let's pivot back to what you wanted to say about how you did curriculum with the Army in that aspect.
Sure. So it's all connected. And when I teach, I'm not teaching for myself. I want to teach the students. Again, it's human focused. I want to focus on the people. And what I realized is that before I started teaching, I said, let me remember how I was that age in yeshiva. What was I like at that age? Yeah. What was I like as a 15, 16-year-old? What was I like as an 18, 19, 20-year-old? And what could my teacher have done better? And what I realized was that Gemara is often taught very black and white. It's a piece of paper with a lot of words on it.
Right.
Now,
and that's the whole idea of Torah Shabbat Peh. Because Torah Shabbat is black and white.
Right. And what I realized is that there are different ways of learning. Some people are audio learners. They just listen to the teacher. Many students are visual learners. They need to see what they're learning. There's a question, answer, raya, this and that. It's like, that's just throwing a lot of information at them and expecting something to stick. And that's not it's not a good way of learning. And it's not a fun way of learning. Torah is supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be geschmack. The goal in yeshiva is to learn how to learn and to motivate people to keep learning when they leave yeshiva. Right. When people finish yeshiva and they're like, I am not opening up a Gemara again. Or thank you for a few years of yeshiva and that's it. I'm not going to learn again. Then I think as teachers, we failed. We need to try to teach the Bachram. The way people learn, especially with YouTube and videos and everything else, is visually. There has to be charts. There has to be pictures. There has to be visually appealing. It has to be even, I would say, a little entertaining. I'm competing against YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Where every second the angle of the camera is changing, zooming in, zooming out. There's graphics, there's music in the background. And here I'm walking to a class giving an hour shir about a Bayan Rava. It needs to be more engaging. And I developed a style. So before I started teaching for a couple of years, I used to make videos. Not a lot of people know this. I used to make videos on the Gemaras learned in yeshiva for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I had it's on YouTube. It's called Yitzchok Academy. I modeled it after Khan Academy, similar style. And it's to make visual videos on El Metzias, Hamaniach, and it was to add pictures and to be more interactive. And when I started teaching in yeshiva, I adopted that. So as you remember, every class I go to needs to have a whiteboard because I need to be able to draw, use different color markers, bring it alive, bring the Torah alive. And
but it sounds like you're doing it also beside yourself, not just because people are seeing, but because you just had to bring it out of yourself, kind of.
Yeah, Torah is exciting.
Yeah,
Torah is exciting. Torah is not boring, and the more you learn it. Now, some people may be watching and be like, "Come on,
time to that. Torah is not boring."
Look, I am. Some people may be watching this and say, "Come on, it is boring. What are you saying?" However, it's like sushi. You need to develop a taste. Most people on their first bite of sushi don't say, "Wow, seaweed is delicious." You have to develop a taste for it. And once you do, you appreciate it. Gemara, you have to develop a taste for. The way to develop a taste is by learning more. Finish a Masechta, you'll develop some sort of a taste for learning. I always try to get Baruch to finish a Masechta, to make a siyam. Why? When you make a siyam, that's geschmack. That's an accomplishment. You finished a Masechta. You develop a taste for it. So, as you know, I used to come to class every day with a bag full of 10, 15 different color markers. Rava was one color, Rabbi is another color, questions another color, answers another color. Structured, organized, visual. It should be alive.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about that. This year, Morristown has a new building, and they got me a smartboard. It makes my life so much easier. I could show a picture. I could show a video. I have the board. I could bring in Tosfos. I could add Mefarshim on the board, right? Not just, okay, everyone has their books, their Svarim. You have your Gemara, you have Kodesh Mefarshim. No, here, people, it's alive. Today, I brought up the Rambam on the board, and we had the Rif, and we had Rashi, and we had the Ran, and we had it's learning is exciting. Torah is exciting. So this is something I'm excited about. I'm passionate about. And Baruch Hashem, they should give me opportunities to develop curriculum for different yeshivas. A couple of years ago, I was at my military base in San Antonio, Texas. And this is a year after President Trump, in his first term, introduced the new branch of the military called Space Force.
Yeah.
So they're in charge of it's cyber, but also rockets. What goes up in space? What doesn't go up in space? Space is space was a neutral domain. It's a power of domain. It's not a war domain. However, things are changing, and President Trump realized that. So when I was there on my base, I spoke to the commander of the space basic training for Space Guardians, which is on the same base. One squadron is for they join as well. And I asked him, I said, as an educator, I'd love to see the curriculum. Long story short, he says, we have the structure of what we want the curriculum to look like, but we don't have anyone to design the curriculum. And most importantly, we need someone to make it engaging, not boring, fun, interesting. And I'm like, hey, that's what I do for a living. They said, okay, you're hired. So the Space Force hired me to write their basic training curriculum. So the Space Force, their curriculum was designed by a Maggid Shir in Morristown, Lubavitcher Maggid Shir. So I did that for a few months. And then I get a call from the Air Force, and they say, hey, so we know that you made curriculum for Space Force. How about you work for the Air Force? It's in Alabama. They have a base. It's called Erie University. right? Where they try to develop leadership in the Air Force, and they have a school. It's called the Chaplain Corps College, where they train chaplains. They said, "Hey, you're a curriculum, an educator, curriculum designer. Maybe you come work for us at the Chaplain Corps College." So so they transferred me. So now a year ago, I transferred to the Chaplain Corps College. So now I work to train other chaplains, which Baruch Hashem, I've been able to help a lot of Yidden because of that. A lot of Jewish chaplains, non-Jewish chaplains as well, to be able to introduce them to many people have never seen a Jew in uniform before, and especially now with the beard. Now, the military doesn't allow me to have a long beard, so I have a tour from a general that when I'm in uniform, the beard has to be under 2 inches, so I roll it up. So actually, tomorrow morning, I'm giving a share on Zoom for the Air Force, and now Baruch Hashem, I was hired by the Civil Air Patrol, which is like an auxiliary for the Air Force, to develop some of their curriculums.
Nice.
So it's mitzvah grass mitzvah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Baruch Hashem. Now, I was designing curriculum for our yeshivas, and I teach in our yeshivas, and now the military is Baruch Hashem also, using me as a mechanech, as an educator. And hopefully, we could do a lot of good and make it kiddush Hashem.
Just really quickly, before we go to Q&As, is there like a chaplain of the chaplains with the idea of like what a chaplain would be doing for regular people, but they're for the other chaplains?
That's a good question. We speak about it, helping the helpers, because who helps the chaplains? Sometimes we have a lot of weight. We have a lot of people like sometimes, dump their emotions on us, and then we need to deal with it. So we're supposed to help each other out.
Right.
We don't have a proper structure for that, but it is spoken about. Like, you have to remember to help the helpers. You have to remember to take, like, if you're in a hospital, who takes care of the nurses when they're burnt out and everything? So it's actually just the chaplain. But who takes care of the chaplain? So the chaplain needs a chaplain. It's like every shliach needs to have a mashpia, and his mashpia needs a mashpia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it is something that's addressed, but it's spoken about, but not. I don't think we have a great system for that yet. But it's a good.
All right, guys. Yeah, I was wondering because like all you're saying about chaplains, what their job is a great point. So I was like, what about the chaplains themselves? It's like the same thing with me in school. Like, the teachers are helping the kids. Who's helping the teachers? Kind of thing. It's like it's all the same thing with every job and stuff. Yeah. All right, so let's get into shout outs and some Q&As for those who commented and joined with us. You might recognize them, Rabbi Lerman, some of the names. I don't recognize some of them, so you probably recognize some people that recognize your name. Shout out to Get Help, who was really hyped about it. Shout out to Yaakov Lipsker, who he also says that we should count the Eimers. Whoever didn't count Sphero yet, we should do it. Shout out to Gittel Berghoff, who said that she loved the intro. Levi Khan says, yo, Rabbi Lerman, one of the few mechanech in Marsan that actually cares about his students.
Thank you, Levi.
Levi Mishaleman, incredible conversation. When can we get Yisrael Umaner on the pod? That's in discussion. DJ David Kraziansky says, hi, Uziel. Finally watching a video. Thank you very much. Dove says, yo, my boy. I don't know who he was referring to, but okay. The channel that we're doing the live stream on right now is called Just Uziel Naparstek, because my main one is the music, so I call this one Just Uziel Naparstek. It's like just like otherwise. So Yaakov Lipsker commented, it's not just Uziel Naparstek, it's just Uziel Naparstek and Rabbi Yitzchok Lerman. Levi Naparstek says, listening on my way home, highly recommended. Thank you, Levi. Mendel Young said, Uzi finally got someone good on his podcast.
Thank you.
Mendel also asked, hey, Rabbi, did they send you back to Okinawa for Pesach?
So that's a good question. So this year, I promised my wife we'd stay home 1 year for Pesach, but we'll see next year. But honestly, before Pesach, my wife and kids said, we would go back. It was pretty good. I mean, we have a lot of stories. Don't get me wrong. We 20 minutes before our. I mean, Japan. We spent a month in Japan. We have plenty of stories. Literally 20 minutes before our Seder, we got locked out of our room. I mean, we have stories, but Baruch Hashem. But my wife and kids said definitely we'd go back if we were invited.
Nice. Swirly Stock Music says Rabbi Lerman was one of my teachers in Masifta and my favorite. So I'm not sure who Swirly's last name is, but you probably know who it is. Yisrael Nayach Gurkov says, "Hi, it's Swirly. Love you guys. Thank you." Yaakov Lipsker actually asked you a question. Rabbi, do you have any favorite hobbies besides for what it has to do with a shliach, a chaplain, and a teacher?
That's a good question. Yes. First of all, I love to read. So I read a lot. And I like hockey. I like rollerblading. So
really?
Those are, yeah.
Actually, I kind of see it. You know what? I actually kind of see it.
I have a tall build. So yeah, I can.
Yeah, you have a build. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
so actually, I have a hockey stick right here in my office.
Oh yeah.
I have a hockey stick right in my office on the side. And believe it or not, a couple of years ago in Marstown, there was a bacher who he had rollerblades, and he and I used to go rollerblade. We'd play hockey once a week in the gym.
Wow, that's great. That is great.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people were saying that you were a great teacher and that there was another teacher that was also a great teacher, but then Levi Khan says, meh, good, but ain't all right.
Thank you.
That's the comments we have today. Thank you for joining Rabbi Yitzchok Lerman. I would like to say one more last l'chaim since we're on our fourth one. That you should have a tzlacha in your shluchas and a tzlacha with just continuing to build and to grow within each and every aspect of your shluchas, whether it has to do with Bachrim or whether it has to. Oh, Levi Zalman Turk is here. You just came in. This is the room. If you want to say hi, because we're about to end. What? No, you come in.
Hey, Zalman.
Hey, Rabbi.
Hey, good to see you. Baruch Hashem.
I'll hear it soon. How are you?
Fantastic. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Wow, 2 celebrities in one house, I tell you.
What's he saying?
He's saying 2 celebrities in one house.
Oh, celebrities.
Hey, you guys are famous. I mean, between the Chidon sweaters and you're doing good stuff.
But as Levi Khan says, meh, good, but ain't all right.
Listen,
Yaakov says hi, Zalman also.
Nice.
All right, so atzlacha on your shluchas and continue building and expanding, and you should only give the Rebbe nachas and continuing to have the strength to continue with L'chatchila Riber, especially with Be'ezir. And we would like, and also l'chaim, that we should have you back soon for another conversation for a different time.
Amen. Thank you so much.
L'chaim
bracha. You should keep doing a lot of good work and all the wonderful things that you're doing in chinuch and inspiring the kids. I think my shout out to my nephew. I think you were his teacher, one of the Pearlsteins.
Hirsch Pearlstein. Yeah, shout out to the Pearlstein.
He's my nephew. Yes, so shout out to Hirsch Pearlstein.
The mother texted me like right when I put on my status, like, what is going on with this? So, regards.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. They're lucky to have you.
Continue. Don't stop.
They're lucky to have you. You guys, they're lucky to have you. You guys you have a lot of energy. You're creative, and I'm so happy that Baruch Hashem looks like the past 2 years have been batzlacha, and you're using your God-given talents. Now, Hashem gave you a chush. Use it, and looking forward to the next record coming out. The next, we still call it a record, even though it's not a record, right? The next single coming out, right? And for future interviews and future videos.
Yeah. So, and speaking of what's next and everything, as usually every live stream, I like to also announce who's our guest for the Pneumus podcast. And so our guest for this week is none other than Clarence from Asian MS. If you know what that's awesome. Rabbi.
Absolutely.
His name is Greg Curdy. This is like the first time we have someone on the stream reacting to what's the next guest, so it's great.
That's awesome. I tell you, I listened to your Ich Kaduzi, the one with
David
with
Tao.
David Tao. So I actually found it very interesting. So that I listened to it with my kids. That was entertaining. But whoa, Clarence, that's special.
That
Get some
was
behind the scenes.
that was yeah, that was great. And I can't wait for people to listen to it because it was a very cool conversation. And it's interesting because he was someone that's not like me at all. Like he's not a yid, but he's very much like into the stuff of like filmmaking and stuff. So it was very cool to like pick his brain about it. So
that's awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. All the guys in the comments. Mirza Hashem will have this since it was a live stream. So I didn't put it on Spotify, but I will put this on Spotify for those to listen after. You can also come back to this link to listen after. And I can't wait to continue with this new segment of Soldiers on a Mission. And I can't wait to see you, Rabbi Lerman, and everyone else in the future on more streams every week on Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining, Rabbi Lerman.
See you, Rabbi.
Pleasure. Hatzlacha. See you, Zalman.
Hatzlacha. See you, everybody.
To bring Mashiach tzidkenu